upload it, do all those. Let's switch over into indexer 2. And yeah, let's go ahead and still, instead of doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and do pip3 install Docker directly. That looks better. That does not look better. Interesting. Wonder what pip installed. Oh, that's the library. So that's different than this. So in one place we're installing Docker, and in the other one we're installing the Python 3 library for Docker. So that's, yeah, I should not have removed the first line. Let me go ahead and change that. So, yeah, they are two things. Here you're not really installing Docker, you're installing the Python library for Docker. Okay, so it would be -y install Docker. Let's go ahead and build that guide. And if I don't learn, push it while I test it. So actually, if I refresh here, uploading new material, replacing variables, here we go. My environment should be set for this change. This looks good. Okay, and now we have Docker there. And now we want to have the agent listening. However, my agent does not have, this agent is not connected to anything because that was a last minute schedule change. So it's connected to my environment. That's using Red Hat, CentOS or higher. It says Red Hat and then CentOS. Yeah. Part of any group? Yeah, the Linux group. Okay. Protocol is still failing, so it fails on Linux and on Windows. Let's remove that. Default is TCP, which should give me an agent. Huh. Now I'm wondering, because this machine by default has an agent connected to it. So the settings will not go through, of course, because you can uninstall it first. The exercise for the indexer is to make sure that you do enrollment via, what is this, the variables, right? No, by agent auth. So I should also not have a client key. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that part of the exercise again. There we go. And after that is all done, I should be seeing my agent monitoring using the Docker listener with a much better working installation. So let's see, let's grab for Docker first. No, it won't, because I didn't add it to the group. I added it when I tried to use deployment variables, but deployment variables only work if you are doing a fresh install, not an upgrade. That is something that it is on the radar to fix, but it is not yet been fixed. So yeah. My environment is getting populous. There you go. Okay. So make sure that you install the Python, sorry, the Python 3 library for Docker, not only the Python 2.71. So basically, if you did the whole rest of the installation, which most of you did, just run pip3 install Docker, then be sure to restart your agents, like the systemctl restart Wazuh agent on your indexers. That, if I'm not mistaken, should fix everything. And now if we grep for doc, geez, I don't want to do that. I wanted to grep for docker. Apparently, yeah, this one was not in the history. Perfect. Good to. Thanks for the confirmation, Jonathan. I'm still not monitoring Docker. I did add it to the Linux group, right? Let's go ahead and see the configuration. Oh, right. I added it to the group, to the Linux group, but only for H0. So that's the why. There's always a good reason why things happen. Let's go ahead and hit save. My indexer2 agent. When you're impatient, you can use watch. Have it. There we go. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Let's go ahead and do docker run nginx. Okay, so pulse nginx. Again, it could be nginx. It could be, you could even add in a Wazuh manager here, but I think these machines don't have that much power. So yeah, it's not going to be the best if you try to install something as big as Wazuh in general. Interesting. Let's see. These ones only show, they don't specify where the agents, which agent they're looking at. And in here, I'm not seeing anything yet. Just an information message. I wonder if it's a little bit late. Just to be sure, let's run something else. Traffic. You may see I'm partial for proxies. Okay. Go ahead, keep refresh, hit refresh again, hit it one more time, and then again. Oh, come on. Started to listen. Oh, it started to listen 20 seconds ago. So I do have to be a little bit more patient. And then, of course, when it gets indexed, it does take a little bit longer. Oh, there it is. Now we have traffic as well. I don't know if it's pronounced traffic or traffic somehow. Yeah. Okay. Great. So, sorry about the blip there with Python 3. I do not know in which version we stopped using Python in general for this module. So yeah, it's interesting that it does require that. In any case, I have modified it on the lab guides, so yeah. Hopefully you won't see that issue moving forward. Okay, questions. We are almost at the end of the material. Actually, we're at the end of the lab materials. As you can see, you can't scroll further down, and there's no next button over here. So now it's where it gets as fun as you want it to be. Or as calm if you already want to digest so much information that we've gone through. Okay. So, in that blip, let's see. Should be able to see level one, environment. I've got some error. I'll give you a few minutes since I see most environments still didn't have that issue. So run the command I mentioned, and yeah, I give you 3-4 minutes to do this. And again, I apologize for the not up to date documentation. I've forgotten we didn't have a slide on Docker. Okay, any questions with Docker? We'll be sure to to get on other ones. Let's see, does this search work? Data integration, that seems a little bit odd to me, to be honest. Instead of rule groups Docker. Data integration. Okay, cool. If you want to create your own integrations, I showed the one for Office 365, and I'll actually get to it. This data integration is a part of the location of the of where it is. Very useless thing on index. Okay, let's look at your environment, Marty. Marty, you are on number 7. Okay, you don't see the containers being paused. Let's go ahead and jump into that environment. 7. Indexer 7. So the first thing is, verify what is the agent saying about Docker. So, first rep Docker, and then /OSSEC logs, OSSEC.logs. Operational logs are going to be the first place. Okay, so this is the thing. The lab guide before, and I fixed it. If you refresh it, it'll appear something had happened. It was installing the Docker library inside of the. And this is a long time ago. Okay, so you do need to restart it afterwards. So maybe you already installed this, but it was installing the Docker library for the Python 2 on the system instead of the Python 3. This fun thing that happens now. Okay, so yeah, we did need to do that. And then after that, restart the agent for it to start being monitored. So I'm a bit lazy to type, so I'm just copying it from the side. Here we go. Here we go. And now, if we give it a minute or two, we still do need to wait. If you're too eager for it, we can go ahead and do this. No, that's going to be. Let's watch grep Docker tail. That's it. Let's watch this command. It started listening. Why did it start so fast in your case? Not sure. But yeah. Yeah, you're not. As Jonathan mentions, that you may be seeing a lot of level 1 events, and that is, that might happen. In my case, I'm not sure if I ever did that change. I don't think the lab guide ever calls for upping them, but it is true that normally level 1 would be, system errors that might not be so relevant, unless they may have actually helped us here to troubleshoot what was going on. But yeah. You should be able to see events now, Marty. Let's actually give you a bump there as well. What do we run on Docker? I don't know. I always run Nginx, so I want to run different things. We could run the Wazuh manager. So if we run simply Wazuh manager, does it find it? No. Does it find it if I do this? No. Does it find it if I do this? Yeah. Ooh. Wonder how much. Now I'm starting to wonder if how much disk space and RAM you have on your system. But the fun part is, in your environment, you should now be seeing an alert of some Docker, Wazuh Docker. Should only be one container though. Let's see. Oh, number 7. Beep, boop, beep, boop. All 7. Part times information. Yeah, not seeing it yet. Ooh, what is this? I'm actually very much lost at what I'm looking at right now. Oh, right. That's the thing. I was seeing Wazuh messages, so I thought that maybe it was, I was still watching the OSSEC log of the agent. No, it's the fact that I'm running a fully fledged Wazuh in there. Eventually, it will stop doing things. But yeah, you should be seeing events, Marty. I'm gonna jump into your interface to make sure to see if I see them there. So yeah. And it was just that blip there that you do need to install the Python 3 library instead of the normal Python one. Means our machines are also a bit slow. Okay. Okay. So for any type of doubt, you can always go into the user manual capabilities and look at the specific requirements if there are any. So I'm not seeing it here. Command monitoring might be under container security. Yeah, installing dependencies. Install Python 3 first, and then use Python 3 to install the Docker library. And apparently, for some reason, it really likes 4.2.0. They specifically asked for that one. Cool. So you're now seeing the activity. Great. And the container name should be Wazuh. Great. Any more questions? If not, I do have one more slide prompt here to go for cloud monitoring before, well, we did the cluster, but we can go back to that discussion if you want. Oh, you did not find the container name. Let's see that. Of course, we are also running, yeah, it might be slow because I decided to run a fully fledged Wazuh and I can't seem to stop it inside of that same indexer machine that we're trying to use to look for things. Should have just stuck with. Look at that. Sometimes I'm able to do this. This is not, I mean, I've searched for this. I'm going to save that URL because I've searched for integration Docker and these graphs are all showing that, but this table isn't. And I need to report that. I need to figure out how that is and report that. When that happens, I reported something beforehand. Wow. Okay. So I do see a lot of that. Form created, network bridge attached. I would guess that somewhere in here is the container Docker from Wazuh. So you see that? That is there on your environment. Of course, we also have the ability to enable the module and look at the graphs that are specifically made to look for those fields and graph them, right? Graph how many images, how many instances of specific image you have. So in order to do that, we go here into settings. Okay, was there? Yeah. And then modules. The word modules always confuses people because I don't know if a lot of people feel like if they do this, that's all they need to, start listening in via Docker. And of course, that is only regarding the web interface. So yeah, here we go. Wazuh. And I apologize for, I may need to open up another instance just to go ahead and go back in and kill that that Docker. So Docker PS, Docker stop. I always confuse Docker and Docker compose commands. So I'm looking at it. It's right there. Oh, right. It's not. I didn't give it a name, so I must use this ID. Even Docker cannot stop it. So yeah, sorry about that. There we go. Hopefully it is now dead. Okay. It's alive. Shoot it. There we go. Now we have, so many. Yeah, this is fun. This is me just, pressing on the Ctrl-C key and letting the character repeat. Do exactly 42 times. That's not a coincidence. Okay, perfect. More questions, more troubleshooting, more issues with this, any of the previous exercises, or in general? No, I'll talk about cloud monitoring, and that's it. The cluster we can talk about again, and then we talk about questions and certificates. And I mean, course certificates. We can talk about certificates because that's a hairy topic. But yeah, so cloud monitoring. So we've talked now, we've seen how Wazuh can do many things when you have the agent. When you can run things on the agent, you can monitor it for, logs that are there. In the case of Windows, a Windows event channel, which is not a log file, but you can also listen in the syslog, as I set up my manager to do. And you can also, you can even do agentless. Agentless does tend to confuse a lot of people because of the word. It should be more like proactive or something like that. In agentless monitoring, what we do is we run SSH to log into a network device, for example, or anywhere you cannot install the Wazuh agent, and then run a command on that machine or appliance, whatever you prefer to call it, and send that information over into the analysis engine, right? This will allow you to monitor, for example, if the files on your router have not been tampered with, or if the user list in that has also not changed. And you do have several things like that. And with this idea in mind, we have also created several Wazuh modules. I actually haven't said how we decided to name Wazuh modules, to go ahead and do that same type of activity but for cloud services, right? Right now, of course, we have been monitoring cloud machines. All of our agents are up in AWS, so the agents can be monitored regardless of where they are. Let me switch back into my environment. But then we may want to monitor actually services. So when you are running Amazon, you have the ability to create machines on them, but you also have the ability to create many managed services and also get information on your account specifically. And so because of this, we have created modules that can periodically log into those interfaces, pull data from them, and pass them on to the analysis engine, right? Not sure why. That's fun. My Windows agent should be online now. Well, anyway, what I meant is if we go here, let's go into, I have a demo environment here. The process of creating, throwaway cloud accounts is not simple. So it's I preferred only to do a bit of a demonstration. I'm wondering if it's my environment that's the reason that it was slow. So let's start closing things. This is, if you're interested in seeing that, I think I shared it when I was talking about this. But yeah, I'll share it again here, just to leave it before closing. That's good. Okay, let's go ahead and log on to here. So we have configured this on certain environments, or actually we could also do this. We could see how that would work by adding sample data. The idea is you run into you configure these with a low privilege account that can only read log messages, pass them to the analysis engine, and then we have there a set of rules. And that way you get visibility over not only what's happening in the machines that you're running, but also what is happening on the various if somebody's trying to log on, or if somebody's trying to create certain resources on your environment. And so you can see all of those from here. And this, we have created recently a module for Office 365. It allows you to see that type of activity, right? That's what's happening on the system. Also GitHub Enterprise. So if you are running GitHub, you will be able to see things like who is doing taking actions against your environment. And you may have more than one organization, which is what this is supposed to demonstrate. Like here you have your various organizations, and each one of them are doing things like, adding members or, modifying permission on the repository. And this can be expanded, of course, into other things that we may not have. And so a good example of that was placed on our blog on how to integrate with Office 365. However, Office 365 is now officially supported with a more robust integration than the one shown on the blog, because of course the one on the Office 365, is on the blog post is a simplified version so that you can monitor just like minor account activity. But the great thing is, you can take this and create a Python script that is similar to it to go ahead and periodically log into any other type of cloud service. I mean, I've seen this being used for Alibaba Cloud, for example, that we don't provide official support for, but it's popular enough in certain regions of the world. I didn't get my hands on the code, but maybe somebody has published it online. But I know they based it off of here after we suggested that. And then what we do is we simply set it to run it every day or run it every 10 minutes. Actually, the default on Wazuh is, I believe, 10 minutes. And we do it by using a command, Waddle. Waddle means Wazuh module. It always makes me laugh because I was not there in the room when they made the decision to make up that word. But it's fun sounding, Waddle. That if you find yourself seeing an error of some Waddle, that's some Wazuh module. Okay. And in this case, the Wazuh module is command, which allows you to run any arbitrary command when you want. Yes, finally, you know that. So that means Wazuh module is not documented anywhere. I know who made that choice. That was our lead developer, Victor Fernandez. We actually have more than one Victor Fernandez, but the big man, he's called internally. But I haven't actually asked him what was, or maybe I have asked him and didn't get a straight answer on what was in his head when he decided for Waddle, but I love it. So in this case, we have real data. And then, for example, I could see, what is happening, who is trying to log on into our interfaces. Probably will find myself, interesting. This is not the same environment as I logged on recently, because then I would be able to see that here. But then you have a lot of activity and also logs that are helpful for troubleshooting or improving the security of your environment. For example, if I go far back enough, we'll see when we had things like guard duty configured here, and it was letting us know which things we had configured not so well and things like that. Macy is also another good source of information. So any questions on cloud monitoring? This is key. I mean, you can, in theory, just provide the Waddle with your credentials, with your admin credentials, but of course, you're leaving that configured on your manager instance. So privilege separation is very important, and actually, that does tend to be a little bit of the hardest part of configuring this is first going through creating. If you go here, for example, prerequisites. Of configuring a place to put the logs on, then credentials that have only privileges to look into those logs. And once you've done that, then you need to provide those credentials to Wazuh. And normally credentials are in the form of secret keys and access key or other types of roles, right? So that's sort of the most complex part of the operation. Once you have configured things on the cloud side, it is just a thing of pointing the Wazuh Waddle to it, right? These were the AWS one. I know is written in Python. Many of them are written in Python, but we are moving toward having them be a lot more resource efficient. So I'm not sure if that is the case for the two new ones, the Office 365 one and the GitHub one that were added just in the last version. We can see that quickly here by looking into the repository, thanks to the fact that everything is open. No, that's not integration. Oh, Waddles, of course, has its own Waddle. Huh. Interesting. Maybe it's not a Waddle. These ones are in Python. Or maybe it's part of the actual Waddle. But not the GitHub one. Configuration. Yeah, the Office 365 one would be written in C, and it's in a different folder for some reason. Yeah. Okay. What else do we have here? Azure, GitHub one. It's also written in C. We will be moving towards that because we have seen use cases that, of course, we originally didn't think of very large environments with a lot of information flowing through these. We actually have some users that only use Wazuh for monitoring cloud-based services, which was at some point a bit of an issue because specifically with Wazuh Cloud, it used to be, when it still is, that we would deem an environment to be inactive if it didn't have any agents. But then we had to say, like, no, this one's very active. Cloudflare integration, yes, and I think that one is in the works or somebody else has asked for it. So let's go ahead and look for that. Cloudflare. Actually didn't get to the wall of, let's see, Now, okay, so I don't see it, but I know I've heard a lot of people asking specific. Cloudflare ban. This is fun. This one's for, and this is an active response from OSSEC, somebody trying to bring it over into Wazuh. Yeah, so I'll ask him about that. He's probably, due to rework of active response, it's not working. So it's possible, from Cloudflare into AWS, do you mean, or?
The Lambda function collects data from S3 bucket and send it through the Elastic API.
Okay. Actually, that might be the case. Sometimes we go through Cisco buckets for services, AWS buckets, for things that are not AWS directly. So, for example, Cisco Umbrella is an example of that. So Cisco Umbrella uses, you might not have an Amazon account, but they will set you up with a bucket.
Yeah.
I just remembered when I was showing the other day the pictures of the fun adventures of Wazuh. There was one, I think, a couple slides down where I stopped. That was specifically in the Cloudflare wall of entropy. Yes. And since I finished the material, I didn't want to show that. Well, that was before I went. Oh, here's the problem. Well, I love the one of GitHub was under construction, and that's my GitHub profile pic. And so, yeah, this is there. Okay, more questions. Okay, we did cover already the Wazuh Bug Manager cluster. Let me know if there are any other questions regarding this, especially since we've worked a lot with it. But basically, yeah, you have the ability to add worker nodes. We've covered how they get synchronized, and yeah, that you need to edit the configuration file on all of them. Also, make sure that you restart all of them for changes to take effect, and how each of them independently receive information and send it over into the indexer. One of the things I heard yesterday on things being reworked was that it will have a certain load balancing. So many load balancers right now will have too much stickiness. So it will allow you to sort of push, if one of them has too much data, to sort of ask the agent to restart and connect to another one. Okay, will there be a plan to sync the configuration directly? Yes, yes. So the idea is now, right now, the manager has a local configuration. So it's osec.conf, includes configuration that is both something that affects all endpoints being monitored, and configuration that affects it locally, because it's an agent, right? So it's also going to be saying, things that it's going to be monitoring inside of itself. Those two things are going to be separated. And once those two things are separated, the configurations that should affect all of the endpoints, that make sense to affect all of the endpoints, will be synchronized between the clusters. So you will not have to, work to create the different configurations on each one of them. You won't have to do this each time. If you want to run, monitoring on one of the instances with something, yeah, that's something that we're looking for. And of course, we're also looking for changing this so that, XML is nice for those. Well, no, it's not. Okay, but you can edit the XML through this editor, which has some help, has some syntax verification and whatnot. But ideally, you should also be able, and especially you should also be able to come here and say, you know what, in my log collection, I want to do things differently. So let's go ahead and add a new file to be monitored. So I have a field here, just type in the path and have that be done. And doing that type of configuration, which is a more of an interface. Yes. And that way, I could add things here, remove here, modify things, and have all the configuration be, a way to be user friendly, to have it be through a graphical user interface, and not through an editor that is done there. Yes, having then the ability, of course, we wouldn't lose the ability to modify the original files directly. It is true that it will very likely not be XML. It will, when that change drops, it's probably when we all will have things running on YAML. Yeah, so indentation will be important. Right now, indentation is not important, but closing and opening of tags is important. So yeah, hopefully this will help us a lot with the indentation. Great. Auto indent. Yeah, it is interesting, the auto indentation that this actually, if I do it wrong here, it will fix it. You had that in one version. We have that on the API console. You have the ability here to ask it to indent things, I believe. Oh no, I'm confusing tools. I'm confusing that with the dev tools, which is the API console for the indexer. So this does have the indent, auto indent. So this is probably what you're thinking about. And maybe at some point we have the same thing on the, because it used to also be called DevTools, what we now call the API console. Yes, but then when you're doing group configurations, this is a fun visual bug that still bothers me a bit. If you look here, you'll see that after a certain part, oh, maybe they fixed it. After a certain part, it would break the indentation. Right now, if I intentionally remove part of the indentation, it will fix it for me, even if I don't want to. You have that. Okay, let's go ahead and go back. Let's go back in. And you'll see that even though I remove this space, it's back and this is because, of course, the whole back process within it is going to be, you are working here with an XML file with all of these special characters, which then get translated to a request to the API. And that request does some sanitation, and sometimes it will not do it the best way that it could. So, yeah. But yeah, it may have been fixed. Thing is, the development cycle is so quick for certain things that it is hard to keep track of what things are already fixed However, since it's such a flexible tool, there are also many things that have been broken for a while, and that I need so we need to sort of bring back up to the development team to have a look at again. Actually, I think we have over 1,000 issues open. If we look at here, which 1,800. Yikes! Many of them are internal, but yeah. Actually, I always like to, if I sort the oldest one, you'll find some nice history around here, like somebody asking what Wazuh meant. For that one for you to find somewhere around here. I think it was closed at some point, but yeah. Okay. Any more questions regarding the cluster? Wow, that's a way to get it large on the screen. Okay, then finally, questions in general. So I'll get back to that slide shortly after, we'll have the break. We can have a bit of a long break today so that, you can come up with as many questions as you want. But before I forget, you will be receiving certificates on course completion. And these are nice certificates that include a URL that will be hosted by us. And unless something happens, they will always be there, so they are verifiable that way. And yeah, the marketing team sneak this in. Feel free to share it if you want. Use the hashtag Wazuh. This is not my words, but it is always nice to see it. I don't use LinkedIn much. I go in about once every 2 weeks. But yeah, it's always nice to when I come across certificates of the training course. So yeah, you will get those very likely, since it's Friday, you'll get them early next week, like Monday or Tuesday, probably sent by Estelle Kierselin. Okay, questions before the break? Okay. So, normally there aren't many questions coming back, so I want to give as much time as you can for asking questions. So I'm really going to go out on this break and make it an hour-long break, okay? So that way you can, if you're at lunchtime or dinner time or any snack time, you have time for that, and then to come back and think, what do I want to ask one? Otherwise, and I will mention this later on as well, we are very happy to answer as many questions as we want as a team, and especially me. So you have my email. I have sent you an email personally with the credentials to each one of you. Feel free to write anytime that you have any question related to the course, but bear in mind that it's only me if you're writing that way, and I do take sometimes to get to certain questions. The best way, the fastest way to get answers, of course, is with the support SLA. So if if you have support or cloud, you have support in any case. Ask there, and we have a team of over 30 people working in the support team, and very knowledgeable. And then, of course, there's the community. Community is a great place to ask for things, and also to rile things up, and demand that we have support for Cloudflare, for example. So yeah, those are the best places. But of course, feel free to write to me directly, add me on LinkedIn. I think I'm easy to find. Whenever I get onto LinkedIn, I'll accept all those invitations, and of course, be happy to see you. But yeah, for the time being, seems like there aren't any questions. I say we break until what is it right now? It's 11 UTC. Let's break until 1 hour later, 12 UTC. I think there's no many people with Wazuh 3D as a picture. Yeah. Yeah. Bring 11 UTC. We want to come back to 12 UTC. Oh, thank you, Oscar, for the kind words. Basically, what I'm going to be heading on is con questions. If you, I know this has been, this is impactful on your work days. So if you need to leave early, the material has been covered, but I will be coming back, of course. Just trying to make sure that the time is correct. So let me get the date here. Yeah, the 12 weeks. Okay, and I'm about to leave this one to us for now. Let's go for it. Okay, and come back with questions or use cases. I'll be more than happy to spend 30 minutes with any specific use case that you may have here. Okay, have a good break.